We have to have our company file first. Download from wherever you have stored it. Download and open the company file. So we will start this lesson. And there are 3 documents I have uploaded in the LMS. I want you all to download that as well, or you can refer in the LMS itself. Just to clarify with your concerns, just to clarify about the evaluation of this course unit, because quiz is going to happen next week, right? Online quiz, we have mentioned it as online quiz, but it's happening online, but you have to come to the class in the lab, computer based quiz, right? Online කෙනෙක් ඉතින් නම් කරන්න පුළුවන් එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක මෙහි ඇවිල්ලා class එකේ ඉඳගෙන කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay? And remember, just sharing my honest feedback, I mean honest experience. Last time, some of the students, even though I clearly explained it's an on-site quiz, you have to come here and it's only on the lab. Here we are allowing you to do that. Some of the students, a few, had done from home. Again, I don't know whether other students are doing with other lecturers. Those who are less tech savvy, you can handle. Sometimes you may be playing around, but believe me, all I listed down all those who have done from home, they didn't get marks for it. Okay. I mean, you can't obtain a degree by faking your skill. Your evaluations are there to check whether you are up to the standard, and also to ensure, especially these mid evaluations, we call them formative assessments. Assessments are formative assessments and summative assessments. Formative assessments means the assessments you are getting during the semester. Little assessment you are getting during the semester. Summative assessment is the final examination you are facing. Formative assessments are there to form or change the form of. Improve right? The next week you should be studying. You should be working with the software. You should be familiar with the software more, right? Then you are getting used to it. That is the objective, right? Why we are asking you to continuously submit the continuous assignments. 2 submissions are already done. Then the 3rd submission will come after the next week. Next week, next week. Week after, you will have the 3rd submission. So why am I pushing you to submit these 3? So I make sure you are continuously working in the class, right? It's not. It's for you, right? For your learning. Then once you submit all 3 assessments, then for that you are getting this. You can just to remind you on the mark structure of this course unit. For that mid-semester online quiz you are going to do next week, you are getting 20 marks. Okay, so it's important. You have to study and come to the class, right? And then continuous assignment submission. The submission you have done twice, and the 3rd time when you submit, you are getting another 10 marks, right? Just for that submission. Then I will mark those submissions and evaluate based on the number of submissions and based on the content in the final submission. Those 2 are the factors I am considering, right? If mark continuous submission, 2 million submit content and how many submissions you have done. Yeah, somehow submit submit range. And not only a particular date, I'm giving a range 3 to 4 days. You can submit, right? So but that you can't do again. So submissions consider mark. So you are getting that mark. And then for the online quiz, purely you are getting a grade itself. Just immediately after the quiz, you are getting a grade only for that 20 marks. So we have to roughly calculate you know A is given above 70%, right? Then you know out of 20 marks, then you have scored at least 14 marks. At least 14 marks you have scored out of 20. That's why you got an A grade for the quiz. That doesn't mean you are getting A for the final grade. Right? That is only for that 20 marks. Okay, so you can understand what is your grade then and there. And then there will be a final, there will be another assignment that is case-based assignment submission. Case-based assignment that will happen in the last week, right? Last week, you will be getting a paper. Right? You'll be getting a paper, not a printed one, a soft copy paper, because it's an assessment. Based on that soft copy paper, you are supposed to create the company file, make the transactions, make the changes, editing, and everything. After that, you have to submit that company file to the given Dropbox. Then that will be your case-based assignment, special case, right? For that submission, you are getting another 20 marks. Okay. So altogether, how many marks you have scored? 20 plus 10 plus 20, then 50 marks already scored by the last week of the semester. Then for the final examination, you are getting a printed paper. Printed paper. Based on the printed paper, you are supposed to create the company file and do the adjustments in the company file. Again, it's a submission. Printed paper එක දෙන්න ඔයාලට බලාගෙන යන්න කරන්න. paper එකේ මොකුත් ලියන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. එකක් දාගන්න පුළුවන් this transaction I have done that කියලා. But we don't mark the paper. We mark the company file. And paper එකේ ඉස්සරහා තියෙනවා ලකුණු දාන්න කොලයක්. ඒකේ ලකුණු ටික දාන්න. That's the only reason we use the paper. Right? So you are supposed to create the company file, maintain the company file, record the transactions, generate the required reports, and submit everything to a Dropbox. That is going to be your answer script. So your answer script in this particular course unit is always going to be a soft copy submission. A soft copy එක තමයි ඔයාගේ answer script. If you don't properly do the submission, it's like you have taken the answer script home. Answer script එක දෙන්න නැතුව පාර දෙන්න නැතුව ගෙදර අරන් ගියා වගේ තමයි. ඒක හරියට submit කරලා නැතුව ගියොත්. හරිද? Understood? So it's easy and also it should be carefully done. Carefully කරේ නැත්තම් the risk falls. Right? So I'm always telling this. I don't want to play a horror police game in the evaluations, right? Because I have experience. I'm not boasting, but I have 12 years experience. This is my 12th year as an academic, right? 11 years කියලා මම බැලුවේ පස්සේ calculate කරලා බලනකොට දැන් 11 ඉවරයි වගේ යන්නේ. මේ 12 වගේ යන්නේ. Right? So you can calculate my age. So I have seen many cases. I have taught to thousands of students, right? So you all can't play around. Be honest, right? If something is AI generated, I understand. If someone has submitted extra than being in the class, so all these are processes, right? All these are processes. හැරෙනකොට අපිට තේරෙනවා. මම මේක කලින් batch එකේ යටත් කියනවා. ඒකට ඉතින් ඒත් කරාම අහු වෙනවා. Right? So for the evaluations, there's nothing called friendly excuses because they are rules, examination regulations. මම කොච්චර හිතෙන්නේ. අපයි හැමෝටම මේක වගේ ආදරේ නේ වුණාට එම්මයි කියලා මට උත් කරන්න බෑ exam එකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Because it's illegal. Right? කාවරි අපි මර්ඩර් එකක් කරනවා. කරාට පස්සේ ආනි මගේ හිතවතාවි කමන්නේ නැහැ. මම කමන්නේ නැහැ කියලා එමින්ද බෑනේ. Go to the jail. That's it. You understand? Examination regulations are very strict. I'm telling in advance that I'm that over here the bad. Make sure you do it honestly. Either in the land. For example, Balangana town, Hari, you're not the Pahali again, Perala, Haring, and can over Takumatical and the past year. May in that plan, Karang in Nonamagan password, the Gudunam password, the WhatsApp group, and each other. They will look Kilati under Yalwagi Alukamas Deragan. Yes, even the person who shared the password also got captured. Right? Because in examination, there are internal controls. Doesn't work. Okay. Right. So that is the assessment. Do you have any clarifications? Do you have any questions to ask about the assessment structure? Assessment because it's going to be your final outcome. Any doubts you have? Yeah. Yeah. Next week, yes, next week quiz. You are getting around 50 questions. Right? You are getting around, I can't promise. Around 50 questions. So you can take 1.5 hours, right? You can take 1.5 hours for that. By 3 o'clock, you have to be in the class, right? Sharp at 3:30. I will give some instructions and to check your logins and all that. සමහර ළමයි ඉන්න හැමදාම හොඳට log වෙනවා එදාට log වෙන්න බෑ. Right? ඒ වගේ. එහෙම ළමයි ඉන්න සමහර. එතකොට so you have to make sure your LMS is properly working, you get the right instructions and everything, and sharp at 3:30 we are starting to attempt the quiz. Right? 3:30 වල ඉඳලා පැය කමාරක් යනකම් මුකුත් බෑ, washroom යන්න අරගෙන මුකුත් බෑ. You have to ensure you are ready for that before that, right? You can plan, you are like humans, you can plan and do something. So you have to ensure you are committed for that 1.5 hours for the quiz. Then 3:30, 4:30, 5. By 5 o'clock, you all should complete the quiz. Okay. So in the quiz, you are getting, as I told you, around 50 questions. All questions are from MyOB. MyOB, this particular version. All right. Nothing else about the general ERP system, general computerized accounting systems. You are understanding about international standards of computerized accounting, nothing. Right? You are not going to get any question outside the software. Everything will be from the software. About the terminology of the software, about the functions of the software, about the interfaces of the software, right? About the account spread creation, editing, taxation tables, all that. You are going to get everything from the software. So if you want to prepare for the quiz, practice the software. That's it. Right? ඔයාලට quiz එක හොඳට face කරන්න ඕන නම් software එක පුළුවන් තරම් practice කරන්න. Now for example, මම අර හැම වෙලේම කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි technical term එකක් ආවම I'm always telling you to make a note on that. Right? Recapping a transaction. Recapping a transaction කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා අහන්න. Answers හතරක් දීලා. If you know it, you can answer it. Otherwise, you can take the longest answer. එහෙමනේ කරන්නේ තමයි තමයි. උත්තරේ දන්න නැත්නම් longest answer එකට ගන්න. ඒකට එහෙම හරියන්නේ නැහැ. මේකේ longest answer එක හරියක විදිහට දීලා නැහැ ගොඩක් ඒවා. You have to know the software. Right? Because these are technical terms. Sometimes the shortest answer is the answer. Right? It's going to be very easy. You can score very good marks for this if you know the software only. Right? Okay. So the good thing about this course unit is if you perfectly follow these guidelines and if you continuously commit yourself for this, you can get good marks and good grades for the final answer. It's the same thing being tested again and again. Right? In the final case-based assignment, again, we are testing a case. And even in the final examination, you are getting a different case. A bit longer, that's the difference. Transaction path, maybe the transaction path, final exam. Right? But it's the same story. If you know how to create a card, customer card, you know how to create a card. I පටලවන්න ක්‍රමයක් නැහැ. දැන් සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක වගේ පටලවල ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් දෙන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. දෙන්න තියෙන ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් ටික තමයි. කස්ටමර් හදන්න ඔයා දන්නවා නම් දන්නවා, දන්නේ නැත්නම් දන්නේ නැහැ. That's all. Right? Therefore, make sure you get good grades for this. Then that is the instruction. එතකොට ළමයිට කියන්න බලයි දැන් අද කට්ටිය අඩුයි. Right? Tell all your friends or groups like this chat කරන group වල හරිය නම් බලන්න. ඒවල share that information to ensure they come for the next week. Right? So කියන්න වෙන arrangements දාගන්න එපා, trips දාගන්න එපා. අසනීප වෙයි කියලා හිතනවා නම් රැට පරිසමට කන්න ඒවා හැමදේම යන්න excuses හදාගන්න එපා, plan කරගන්න එපා excuses. Ask them to come because it's 20 marks. Important. Okay? Right. Then here. Right. Now, in MyOB, in MyOB, we have discussed up to now the operation or the main operation of the business. We have completed the purchasing process. If you can remember what we have completed up now, we have completed the purchasing process. So under every item, we have quantities in our hand now, right? We have completed purchasing. We have made the payments to the suppliers. So we are comfortable with our inventory now. The next step in the operation is making sales. All right. So we have quantities in our hand now. Now we are going to make sales to earn revenue. This cost side is okay. We spend for electricity, we spend for petty cash expenses, we spend for a lot, and we made the purchases. Everything is ready. Now, just a matter of earning revenue. Okay. So we are going to start the revenue earning process. Here, there's a small theory document. This is called the revenue cycle theory. When you are earning revenue, right? Revenue comes, general business is earning revenue under two categories. One is through cash sales, the other is through credit sales. Right? In the cash sales, the customer will come and directly pay cash, and then they will collect the goods. Okay. So in that case, who the customer is not a matter for the business unless you get cash. What is the double entry for a cash sale? Cash debit, sales credit. So not even the name of the customer is mentioned in the double entry. Right? Customer කවුද කියන නමවත් වැඩක් නැහැ double entry එකට because you got cash, transaction is over, no risk. Right? Then if you take credit sales, what is the double entry? Yeah. Sales account credit. Yeah, debtors, right? Debtors account debited, and in many cases we write the name of the debtor, right? Amal's account, Kamal's account, Amar's account, the debit, right? When we are making a credit sale, we usually use the name of the customer to ensure that is a receivable, right? Receivable from whom? Right? To the receivables control account, we post an entry or common entry, but for individual debtors accounts, we post for their name. All right. So that understanding should be there. Then in MyUB, in the revenue cycle, we are going to cover cash and credit sales. Okay. Sales happening over cash or credit, and cash collected from debtors. When I was doing lectures at my home, I thought because it's only the second floor, this problem is there. Right. Then cash collection from debtors. After making the sale, the next stage is collecting cash from debtors. That is also covered under this revenue cycle. And also, if the customers settle early, we are about to provide them some discounts. Right? We call them early settlement discounts. So how to deal with early settlement discount is also covered in that. And then cash received from other sources like advances from long-term bank loans or whatever. Any cash receipts, right? Any cash receipts other than the investors owner's investment, we are going to use the revenue cycle, right? Revenue cycle transactions to record all those receipts, right? Now here you can see how such accounts or how such transactions will be recorded and which accounts will be considered for that. Cash receipts are recorded. Receipt of payment from debtors, right? So it should be recorded under the sales command center under receive payments function. Okay, if you are receiving money from a debtor. Then if you have a cash or check received from cash sales, then that is just sales window. I will tell you how to record that cash sale on a cash. We are creating a cash customer card called cash customer, right? Because we want to categorize the cash sales separately. So under that, we are going to deal with that. It's only the sales window. We are not going to use the receive payment option. And cash received from financing activities. There, for example, let's say we receive a bank loan, right? We receive a bank loan. That is again cash receipt, but it doesn't have any relationship with sales. Just money receipt, right? So there we are not going to use the sales command center, right? There we are using the banking command center. Under that we have receive money, right? Receive money function. Can you remember we dealt with spend money function? Spend money. වියදම් කරන්න ඕන නම් spend money function එක use කරා මතකද? light bill ගෙවන්න අර පොඩි පොඩි වියදම් කරා. Like that, when you are receiving money, you have the receive money function exactly like that. You are dealing with the other financing activity, cash flows. Then cash management activities like transferring from one account to another. For that, even though that is money received from one bank to another bank account, we are not using the sales command center. We are using the accounts command center. In that, we have transfer money function. We have worked with transfer money function, if you can remember. From the main account, we deposited money to the investment account. Can you remember? What's your topic? Third week we discuss. From the main check account, we deposited some money to the investment account. Even now, if you go to the investments account, there is 100,000 or something. Because we transferred money, right? So the investment bank account received money, but that is not sales revenue. Therefore, we are using the accounts command center. So here it's clearly describing how cash receipts are categorized and dealt with the sales here the revenue cycle, right? Revenue cycle, right? So having that understanding of how the transaction should be treated, let me open the software, right? Open my company file. Purchase is completed. Okay. Right, 35 days remaining. Click on that option and continue. Okay. Right, so the rental agreement reminder is there. Close it. This is my interface of the company. Now, sales function, sales is or revenue cycle is a separate and complete cycle we are going to start with. Before starting such a big cycle, we are supposed to set the preferences initially. Can you remember we set preferences for many major functions? So let's first go to preferences. If you are writing down notes, setting preferences for the sales function or revenue cycle. Setting preferences for the revenue cycle. ඔගොල්ලෝ අනිත් course unit වල සාමාන්‍ය lecture කිව්වොත් ලියාගන්න. I hope you understand now. After advanced level, whatever the higher education you follow, maybe it's a bachelor's degree, maybe it's a master's degree, maybe it's a PhD. Hereafter, you don't find teachers. Only till advanced level you are finding teachers. Thereafter you find lecturers, right? Then the pattern is completely different. Now at least I am guiding you step by step in the software, right? Again, this is kind of spoon feeding. A kind of spoon feeding is happening here because of the nature of this subject. Because I don't want you to miss any of the steps. In fact, so this is again little similar to the advanced level spoon feeding. But when it comes to other subjects, so higher level education, you don't get lecturers to come to you and see whether you have written the note. If something is important to you, you write down. But if your brains are perfect or brilliant, you can understand and remember everything. Right? Without a note, if you can remember 100% of the content, there can be students. Then it's okay to not write notes. But a healthy natural brain forgets 90% of the content after 30 minutes of the lecture. You should have it somewhere written. Okay. Then what is the step? We go to setup preferences, right? Setup preferences. That is the path. Now these paths are very clear. I mean, when you are very familiar with this path, we'll quickly go to the sales preferences. First option, automatically print sales when they are recorded. When you are recording a sales transaction, to print the sales invoice, right? To take a printout. I'm not selecting it because it's a printing function. We are not interested in that. I'm not selecting it. Second one, print packing slip. When you are generating the invoice, along with that, you can print the packing slip, so that can be sent to the warehouse to double check whether these items are being dispatched. Right? The මේ ටික අපි විකුණනවා නම් ඒ item ටිකම dispatch වෙනවද කියලා check කරන්න packing slip එක තියෙන එකක් අලවනවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අර when you are packaging the stock, right, before dispatching. So I want to make the print of it. Right? In a real company, they may need this, but for accounting purpose, I'm not selecting it. Right? Third preference, print labels when sales are printed. Again, another printing job. I'm not going to select the third option as well. Look at the fourth preference. Warn if customer has an outstanding credit before applying a payment. Right? Now, when customer, let's say, before applying a payment from the customer, right? Customer is usually paying us. Before customer paying us, I want to check whether there is any outstanding payment that I owe to the customer. Right? How can I owe to the customer? Usually customer owes me money. How can I owe to the customer? Customer to mama naya. Returns. Exactly. Returns. Same as we had in the sales function, right? So I sold some goods and customer made the payment and then customer returned. Then I owe money, right? Then before the customer is going to make the next payment, I have to ensure I don't want the full payment because there is some money I owe you. So you can deduct that amount and pay me. So that reminder should be there. Therefore, I am keeping it. It's already selected in my case. So I am keeping that warning, right? Warn if customer owes me money. Whether I owe customer. Apply customer payment automatically to oldest invoice first. So I will select this, right? I will select this. Then what will happen is when I'm trying to enter a customer receipt, it will start from the oldest invoice. But if it is not, if it's not the invoice the customer has paid, then I can make the adjustment. But then at least I know the customer is going to skip an invoice. The customer is going to skip an old invoice. So at least I know that. Usually what should happen when I'm entering customer invoices, I mean payments to invoice, customer should be paying the oldest invoice first. Business, right? Then when I try to enter it, it should automatically apply to the oldest one first. If the customer has paid the latter invoice, then I should know customer is trying to bypass an invoice. Right? So to get that insight, better to apply to the oldest one first. Right? Then show customer purchase number in receive payments. You can click on that, but if the customer has not always recorded the customer purchase order, customer PO, right? Suddenly they come and purchase certain items. Then in certain cases, you will not have a PO number, right? Therefore, I don't want to show that always, but if you like, you can click on that. In many cases, we won't have that. Then make a contact log entry for every sale. We skip this option in purchases as well, because for every entry you are going to, every transaction you are going to have a log entry. Then the log entry will be important for the internal auditing and auditing purposes. But in this case, we don't want to have that complication. And then warn for duplicates. That's an important preference. We always selected that, right? Because we don't want to have duplicates. Warn for duplicate. Is it invoice only? No, it's invoice and customer PO both. Right? If there are duplications, please give me a warning. Then I know there's going to be a duplication in that. And then return original invoice number on back orders. If the customer places a back order, it's good to have the original invoice number, because we can identify on which invoice they are referring to. So I can identify. Okay. And then return original invoice number when codes change to order or invoice. when you're changing a quotation into an order or something, it's not necessarily we need to have the original invoice number, because from the same quotation we offered, customer may place number of new orders, right? Customer may ask or they may place many orders, many POs. In all these POs, there is no need to have the same quotation number or the invoice number. Therefore, I am not going to select it. Delete quotes upon changing and recording as order. I'm not going to select it because I must have a track record of the prices that I have offered to the customer. Right? After receiving the customer purchase order, if I convert the quotation I offered, then the quotation then making these sales, right? So I have offered the quotation to the customer. Then once I receive the customer purchase order, if I convert the quotation to the purchase order, by deleting the quotation, I can't find whether the purchase order has come to the right prices I have offered. Do you understand? මම price එකටම the customer PO එක දැම්මේ කියලා. දැන් customer maybe by a mistake they may have different prices. Maybe purposely they may include a lower price in the purchase order. Now in these days you can't believe anyone, right? You can't trust anyone. You have to ensure the processes are there. Okay. Therefore, it's not good to delete the quotation. Therefore, I'm not going to delete it. If credit limit is exceeded on sales, what we are supposed to do? Because in this case, credit limit is decided by us. Right? In previous case, suppliers decided the credit. Okay. Then in this case, we are the ones who have decided the credit limit. This customer is more trusted, so I'm giving more credit. This customer is sure man. Credit like that. You are the one who is deciding. Therefore, when the limit is exceeding, you should have the option to get a warning or to get a notice. This is going to exceed, but approve, right? Approve because you want the sale, right? You want the sale. So that is selected anyway. Then I am not going to change. So these are the preferences I am going to select. Warn if customer has outstanding credit. Apply customer payments automatically to the oldest. Warn for duplicates. Return original invoice number. And the last one, if credit limit is exceeded on sales, warn and continue. They are the preferences I have selected, right? Okay. Right. Then, before starting this function, you have to make sure the correct accounts are linked to the function. Right? Even when we started purchasing function, we made sure all the proper accounts are linked to the relevant functions. Right? What is the path to set the link accounts? What is the path we are going to use to link the right accounts to the sales function? Different functions in the sales. Setup. Exactly. Setup, link accounts, sales accounts. That is the path. Okay. Now, by now you should be familiar with these processes. What am I saying? These are the things being tested in the quiz whether you are familiar. Okay. Setup, linked accounts, sales accounts. Under that, the asset account for tracking receivables, that is trade debtors account. It is already selected and I'm not going to change it because that is correct. Okay. In your case, if it is different, I want you to use this drop down arrow and find that particular account and select it. Click on use account. Trade debtors is the account. Got it, right? So tracking receivables. Bank account for customer receipts. When customers pay me through checks or maybe through deposits, what is the bank account I am specifying? That is the Sampath Bank current account. Is already selected, right? I charge freight on sales. Here, I am not selecting it. I believe I don't charge freight on sales, right? Because it's my decision. I'm not going to charge freight on sales. But if you are charging freight on sales, you decide, right? In your own, maybe a different company, If you decide you are charging freight on sales, you have to tick that and you have to specify an account, right? But in this case, I am not going to charge freight. And then I track deposits collected from customers. This account is like when the customer pays me in advance before the sale. So that is my liability, right? If my sale didn't happen, but I received customer payment. So that money is a liability for me. What is the account? I am keeping that liability. So that is customer deposits. You can just go into that account and see whether it's a liability account, right? Right, that is right. Okay. Customer deposits liability. It's a liability account. So if customer has paid me and in advance, so that is recorded in a liability account called customer deposits, right? And then I give discounts for early payments. For early payment, I should give discounts. And what is the account? Let's see the discounts. It's going to be an expense, right? Under expense account, what is the discount, suitable discount account? Discounts allowed? Did you find the account? Discounts allowed? That is the expense account. So I'm selecting it. Because I am allowing discounts to my customers. Discounts allowed. Okay. Did you find that account? Account with the you should find that discounts allowed. Yeah. Okay. Then I assess charges for late payment. I'm not selecting it because I don't want to lose my customers by charging late fees. ටික පරක් වෙන කෝල් එකක් දීලා හරි කොහමද ඉක්මනට ගෙවන්න කොහමද කියලා එහෙමනේ කියන්නේ නේද? When there's a customer, you okay, you are getting late, so I'm charging the late fee. Then customer will be ready to make the payment, but that's going to be the last sale you are making to that customer. Right? Yeah, pretty practical, but in case if there is a very statutory sales for, I mean, organizational formats where late fees should be charged, right? Control කරන්න බැරි industries තියෙනවානේ සමහර, so you have to have a late fee. Then you can pick the I charge late fee, and there should be a revenue account. You have to see late fee is an additional revenue to you, right? අපි දු ලයිබ්‍රරි එකක් වගේ නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ book එක return කරන්න late වෙනකොට ඉතින් late fee එකක් charge කරන්න වෙනවානේ. It's a must in certain industries, but in general industries for delays, it's best to have the customer contact officer to get that money being received. Right. So these are the accounts I wanted to link specifically: the trade debtors account, Sampath Bank current account, customer deposits account, and the discounts allowed account. Okay. If these accounts are properly linked, then I can click OK. Okay. Right. Now our link accounts are fine. Our preferences are set. Then, since this is a major function, we set the default values. In all major functions, we set the default value. Yeah, automatically then the values to be set. Right? What is the function we use to? What is the option we use to set the default values of a particular command center? Command center default values to set function yeah. Easy setup assistant. Easy setup assistant is the function we are using to set the default values of an important function, right? Then setup, easy setup assistant. So under that you find the broad or the key functions. Their sales function is that, right? Select the sales function. Setup, easy setup assistant, sales. Okay. There's a small introduction. I want you to read that. Take 1 minute and read that introduction. These introductions are really important because next week you are going to have the quiz. These are very important instructions that can be inputs for your answers. Right? So you got an understanding what we are going to set up here, right? What type of cards, layouts, accounts we are going to specify here. That understanding is required. Because let's say there's a question, sample question. You get at the quiz asking when you want to in the sales easy setup assessment of sales, which one of the followings can be set as default? For example, question, right? Then layout of the customer payments, this and that. There can be some wrong three answers and with one correct answer. Then you should know what you are doing here, right? Then you can pick the correct answer. That way you have to be familiar with the process, right? Then you can click next after reading it. What is the layout we are going to select for most of our sales? What's the layout we should select for our most of the sales? Default is for most of the time sales, right? We can't specify a layout for all types of sales, right? There can be other types of sales as well. Then we can change the layout. But for most of the sales, what is the layout we are going to use? That is the default value. What's the layout you want to select? What's the layout you think? Yeah. Yeah, from that side, from that corner, from that corner. Default, no default. No default. Any other answers? Items. Many cases, items. I'm selecting items. I can't say this is the exact answer or this is the only answer. I'm selecting items layout because most of the sales are going to happen based on the items I have. For example, for me to sell, right, I should have something with me. The things I have with me are already there in my items list. Now, for example, I am going to sell cricket bats. I have cricket bats in my stores. Then, if I'm going to sell something that I have in my list, I should use items layout. That is the definition of items layout. Can you remember? We use items layout when we are dealing with the items in our items list. We are using the service layout when we are dealing with items outside my item, not in my item. Okay. So rarely I will be selling the grass carpets I bought. Can you remember we bought some grass carpets? මතක නැද්ද? අපි grass carpets වගේ ගත්තා මතකද මේ business? මතකනේ? You are the accountant of this company. All right? ගත්තා නේද? Mats වගේ ගත්තා මතකද? We bought some mats, right, to be fixed in the building, right? Usually we sell the ones we bought for resale purpose. If you are selling those grass carpets or something, then you have to use the service layer. Because that's not in your store's inventory items list, right? But very rarely that type of a sale can happen. Okay. Usually we will be selling the general inventory items. Therefore, I am selecting the items layout with that justification. Okay. Again, someone can argue if we offer the cricket lessons, we had an item called cricket lessons. Can you remember? We are going to offer cricket lessons. Then shouldn't we select the service layout? because it's a service. Anyone got an explanation for that? Let's say we are going to sell, it's going to be a sale, right? We are going to sell the cricket lessons. Cricket lessons උගන්වනවා එකත් sale එක. Tuition class එක tuition කියන්නේ sale. Then what is the suitable layout for that type of sales? These are the tricky questions, right? These are the questions to check whether you properly understood the formats and the technicality of it. Yeah. Default. Telling you're going to sell the lesson. Service layout. Hands up those who say service layout. Hands up those who say items layout. Then others, no default. No default. Hands up those who say no default. That's good. Whatever the answer you say, you should be standing for that. Right. Now, that cricket lesson is there in your items list. Can you remember that? Cricket lesson is there as a product in your items list. Cricket lesson is not physical. Cricket lesson is a service. That is true. But that is in my items list. I took that example of saloon, right? Cutting hair. But that is a service, that is the product of the saloon. Right? Let's say you take a bank, right? The loan product you can't see physically, right? But that is their product. So that's there in their items list. Understood? In a hospital, brain surgery, it's a product they're offering, right? In cricket club, cricket lessons is a product. It's there in your items list. Lamai, you are the accountant of this company. Your product list I'm talking about, it's not mine. Your company's account list or product list. Go to the product list and see. List. Items. Here. Do you see these items? Day and night matches, school matches, hire service, so many services. So many services, but they are items. They are in your items list. Is that clear? Is that clear? Service layout is not there to sell services. That is the baseline. Right? We clarified that matter in a few weeks back, right? Service layout is not there to record the services you offer. Service layout is there to record anything that is outside your items list. Okay. All right. Still not clear? Whether you like it or not, that is the word given by my UOB service. I do understand that. But service layout is not to record services. Service layout is to record any item or anything outside my items list. My items list again, නැති ඕනම දෙයක් ගන්නකොට හරි විකුණනකොට හරි record කරන්න තමයි service layout එක. Can you remember we purchased a lot? We purchased a lot, and out of those, certain items we recorded under service layout. They were physical items sometimes. Like grass carpets and they are physical items. ඒවා අපි item layout එකේ නෙමෙයි record කරේ. We recorded in the service layout because they are not in my items list. මතක නැද්ද tractor ගත්තා, bat ball correctors ගත්තා. Do you know them? That is your property plant equipment. You are the accountant of this company. Right? You should know this. Is that clear? All right. Now I'm closing this. So I am selecting items layout for this. Okay. For most of the cases, I'm going to select sell the items layout. Go to the next account. Next step. Enter the income account you plan to use for most of your sales. If you use multiple income accounts, leave this field blank, right? So since I'm going to collect revenue from multiple sources, right? Because revenue by selling a cricket bat is different than the revenue by a repair service. That's repair service. Again, it's different from ground hire income service. Again, that is different from cricket lessons income. So I'm going to earn revenue from multiple sources. Therefore, you can leave it blank. That is the best option. I'm not going to specify the revenue account because my revenue is coming from multiple sources. So then and there, for every revenue, I will pick the revenue account. Okay. In some make a blank here. Is that okay? And then credit limit, right? Here I can specify a minimum baseline credit limit like 5,000. So I am selecting 5,000 for my preference. But for each customer, I can customize this credit limit depending on their credit worthiness. Okay. So the base minimum, I'm entering the 5,000. If you don't like 5,000, you can enter 6,000. It's up to you, right? All these are optional stuff. I'm just giving you a number. If you don't like this 5,000 cutoff numbers, you can enter 5,500. There should be a number here. Don't leave it blank because when you are creating customer cards, there should be a minimum selected. Otherwise, it will consider as no credit limit given for those customers, right? Then go to the next stage. The tax code on sales is going to be VAT, and also the tax code on freight, if you are charging, that should also be VAT. You have to make sure value added tax or VAT is selected for both places, for sales and for the freight, right? Ensure VAT code is selected for both cases. Then click on the next, right? The next step is to set up the payment information of the customer, right? Payment method, I'm going to specify the most common payment method because we are setting the default values here. Most common payment method I'm selecting as check payments, right? I believe it's going to be check payments. So I select check and use method, right? And then credit terms information. Credit terms information, you can, if you can remember, when we set the payments, the purchases easy setup assistant, we did not specify a payments term. The reason is different suppliers are going to offer us completely different supply payment terms. But here we are the company, right? We are the company. We are the ones who are offering the credit terms to our customers, right? Therefore, we can have a basic credit term for any customer. All right. Depending on the customer, we can modify this. That is true, right? That can be modified later. But a baseline we can set for the customers here, right? So I'm going to set a baseline that is payment is due in given number of days, right? This is just for my preference. Payment is due in a given number of days. Discount days I'm specifying as 7 days. That is my policy. Okay, 7 days. And balance due is 30 days. Right. And then discount for early settlements, I'm giving a minimum of 1%. And monthly charge for late payments, I'm having it as 0 because I specified no monthly charges, no charges for late payments. Can you remember? Is that, can you remember that? We said we are not going to charge late payments, right? Then you can't charge a percentage. So this is the common credit term I am offering to any of my customers. This is the term I'm going to offer. Okay. Then click on the next button. Right. Then account for customer receipts. Enter or select the account you wish to use for tracking your customer receipts. This account must be a bank account. When customers deposit their payments to an account, so what is the account I'm going to track? those, right? So this is the account I'm specifying. In other words, in practical terms, when a customer asks me bank details, which account details I'm sending? Deposit money, right? So this is the bank account. That is my Sampath Bank current account. It's selected. And then account for undeposited funds. When you are receiving a check, let me ask that question. We discussed that this earlier as well. I am receiving a payment, a check from a customer, right? So I have my company. Customer comes to your doorstep and they give you the check of payment, right? Payment check එක දෙනවා ගෙනල්ලා cash counter ඔයගලගේ what the company එකේ තියෙන accountant company එකේ accountant check එක ගෙනල්ලා දෙනවා. Then what is the double entry? Is a receivable. A receivable or a customer is handing over you the check as the payment. What is the double entry? Payroll account. Not my OB. Not my OB. It's payroll account. Yeah. Tables. Credit. Cash debit. Then isn't it bank? It is check. The check. You answer it right. Right? I'm just confusing you. It is a check. Then we deposit that in the bank. For that, we have another entry. Cash credit, bank debit. We call that contra entries. ප්‍රතිසටහන් කියලා දාන්න මතක. චූටි දීවිදාන් ප්‍රති කියලා වරහන්. Contra entry. After you deposit. Until that deposit happens, what is the temporary account you are going to hold that money? Even though it's cash, it's actually not cash, right? And cash you got a cash, but debit කරගන්න bank, it's not cash actually. So that is going to be undeposited funds in my OB. When you collect money in terms of checks or any other bank receipts, until you deposit it, you are going to keep it in the undeposited funds, right? There is an account. That account is there. Or in my case, it's already selected. You can drop down and see it's an asset account, right? It's an asset account, and also it's the undeposited funds where you collect all your money until you deposit in the bank. Okay? Clear? Clear up now? Then you can go to the next step. Now in this step, you are supposed to create the customer cards, right? For you to make sales, you must have customers. In my OB, all the parties we are dealing with are known as cards. We have experience in creating supplier cards. Can you remember? We created supplier cards. Like that, we have to create customer cards to make the sales. All right. So at this step, you can create customer cards, but there is a very special command center to create all the cards. Can you remember that? Purchases we did the same thing, right? In the purchases we did the same thing. What is that? I just showed you how to create a card in this step, and then we went to the cards command center. For cards, there is a special command center. Can you remember? Through that, you can create any type of cards. Therefore, I'm not going to create cards here. I'm going to skip this step because I know there's a very convenient place to create cards. Okay. All right. You can click on next, and historical sales. If there are any past sales happened, if you have a document or any Excel sheet, you can upload it here. But in this company, we don't have any historical sales, right? Then we can skip that step as well. Go to the next step. Congratulations. Congratulations. You have set up the default values of sales function. Okay. Right. Then you can close this easy setup assistant, and you can close the supplementary window as well. Now, do you see in your command centers, right? These are command center buttons. When you click on that, you go to the command center. I'm reminding, or I'm recalling your memory as a revision for the quiz. These are command center buttons. When you click these buttons, you go to that particular command center, right? In each command center, you have this flowchart area. Okay, you have the flowchart and that's flowchart area. Under cards files command center, you have cards list function. Inside those, you have functions, right? What are these drop down arrows? Option tools, right? So I'm referring to possible questions at the quiz. Then, right? Under card files command center, you can go to the cards list function, and there you will find a list of cards you created. What are these cards? When you go to different tabs, you can see. When you go to customer cards, nothing appears. That means no any customer card here. When you go to supplier cards, you see all that. That means these are supplier cards we created, right? You don't have employee cards. You don't have any other personal cards. So all you have is supplier cards, right? Then our next step is to create customer cards, right? Go to the customer command center, not the command center, sorry, customer tab in the cards list command center, cards list function. And then at the bottom, you can see there is a button called new, right? Then button new is there to create new cards. Okay, just click on that button. Do you see a familiar interface? It's a very familiar interface, right? It's the same exact interface you had for supplier cards creation. Right here, you are supposed to enter the information of the customers to create the customer cards, right? Then in the LMS, there is a document I have uploaded for the customer cards certificate, right? Can you open that document? Right. So here you have a list of customers. Okay. List of customers with their customer information. These are the customer cards you are supposed to create. Okay. So before creating the customer cards, do you want a break? We'll take a small break of 15 minutes so you can finish a little early. If you come on time. If you come on time, we can finish a little early. Right? We will mark the attendance. Okay, did your mark attendance? Then you can take the break.
Because of I did but I did.
Excuse, no. Excuse can be given at on a particular date if you, for example, on this particular date, this particular time period, if something is happening, then you can't attend to that. Then it's an excuse. I opened that 3 to 4 days. That was හතක්ම දාන්න බැරි වෙනවා කියන්නේ what is the excuse? The by 3 days you get recovered. I mean, require 2 clicks. Attach something. That's it. It's called yeah. No, you'll be given marks. You'll be given marks for the do the third submission. Yeah.
But this is also last chance.
Can't ban them because you are company by it.
We have saved one. That we can redo it at least.
Logically, you are not supposed to have an old company file.
Correct.
You have to have that progressing. Then, logically, I can't accept different company files. Different excuse දෙන්න බැරි නිසා තමයි ඒකට තවත් හතරක් ඕපන් කරලා තියලා. ඒකට මොන excuse දෙකින් you should be able to do that. Then කරන්න දෙන්න. First one you submitted.
My one didn't get submitted because that time I had a LMS issue because my one was not registered.
You submitted first one? No, second one. No, first one. No, second.
He has submitted second.
You submitted second. Then you only can. One එකක් මට වැටෙන්නේ. two එකක් මට වැටෙන්නේ. දැන් කිව්ව නිසා මතක් කරගන්න ඉගෙනගන්න ඕනේ කරන්නේ.
මම once දෙකම තියෙන්නේ අද විතර chance එකක්
No, third එක submit කරා. Third එක carefully submit කරන්න. For the number of submissions you are getting very few very few months. For third submission, I'm evaluating the third submission carefully, and for that you are getting. Therefore, carefully submit the third. First two, what is not. ඒක submit කරමුනේ ඒකට තමයි දැන් marks යන්නේ.
ये तो मेरी रिपोर्ट තියෙන්නේ අප සබ්මිට් කරන විතරක් සිත ඕපන් කරා නම් අපේ මම ගාව අපි ගාව රිපෝට්ස් තියෙන්නේ
It means that was open for board. Okay, do you understand?
all right
In an evaluation, it's unfair for those who have submitted on time and properly. But overall fairness you have one doing an unfairness for the entire class. You understand? That is the mark is allocated for both the work and the discipline. Okay, ඒක ලොකු මාක් එක ඩීවියේෂන් එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ගැස් මාල්ට එක්සෑම් එකට බාධාවක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. third එක carefully ඔබ submit කරනවා. marks වලින් ලකුණු තුනක් විතර තමයි for submitting all three කියන එකට යන්නේ. ඒකේ පොඩි ගානක් තමයි ඉන්නේ මේ. More than 6 marks for the content of the final submission. Getting the 7 marks. Third එක හරියටම ගියාම submit කරනවා. Excuses time and
If you have, they have given 25,000, but we have only got 5,000.
That is the base. At least 5,000 is the minimum. Before. But when we are paid the customer, we get
One is just going to take this.
good you try.
They change
Yeah.
that and just.
So that's the reason I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
Sports Okay. So shall we start? Okay. Right. We will start then. Now we are supposed to create the customer card. Okay. Now we are supposed to create the customer card. So whatever the cards you want to create, you go to the cards command center as we discussed. You go to the cards list and then go to the relevant tab. Right. Now under customer cards tab, you click on new button, then you get this window. That is where we stop that. Right. And then for you to create the customers, you need to have some information about customers, right? The customer information are given in a PDF document. I have shared that here in the lens. You can see the first customer is King's High School. The address and other details are given, right? So I'm going to create the first customer. A name for the customer is required. King's High School. The name. Right. When you enter the name, you can see other information appears, and then you have the address detail. Enter those address details. Right, the latecomers, we have started creating the customer cards. In that window, we opened to create the customer card. I am entering the information of the first customer given in the PDF document. First, I entered the name of the customer, and then all other fields appeared visible. And then I'm entering the address detail and other details, right? Right, so the basic details are the name, address line 1 or address, first address. And after that, you can enter the phone number and the contact person of the customer. And how to make sure the designation on the top, the designation is a company, right? This customer is a company, not an individual. So those are the profile details. Nothing special compared to the supplier card. It's the same information you had in the supplier cards as well, right? Then if you go to the card details tab, that is the photo and a note of the customer you want to include, right? But we don't include them because it's not part of the double entry system. Under the selling details, okay, under the selling details, when you go to the selling details information, have sales layout is item, right? This has come from the default value we have set, and then invoice delivery to be printed, and sales comment. You can specify a sales comment for this. From the drop down, you can select any sales comment, right? Thank you. I'm selecting thank you. And then you have the credit limit of 85,000. That is the problem here. Now, in supplier card, you had a field to edit that credit term. But in this case, you have a field, but it is fixed with the default value, right? So at the bottom left-hand corner, you can see there is a button called credit limit and hold. Do you see that button? Credit limit and hold here, a yellow color button. Button is not yellow color, there's a small icon. I mean yellow and blue and red, right? I want you to click that button. Click that button, then you get a chance to modify the credit limit. Then you can mention 85,000 as the credit limit. And then the available credit also will be 85,000 because we have not used any. I mean, the customer has not used any of the credits. Okay. Then my question is why MyOB has taken an additional step in customer cards to alter the credit terms, credit limit. The reason is now when you're comparing the supplier and the customer, right? There are two parties in our business. When it comes to supplier is offering us the credit limit, right? We are just following their credit limit. We can't do anything about that credit limit, basically. We can give a call and try to increase it, but we can't make a decision about that credit limit, right? If we don't pay on time, the supplier will cease transactions with us. That is up to them to decide. But when it comes to a customer, we are offering the credit limit to the customer, right? If the customer does not settle on time, we have to make a decision. What? To cease the transactions with that customer or to hold that customer temporarily from further sales. Then you have to sales otherwise you will be making sales and sales, then the customer goes bankrupt, then you will lose all your money, right? Therefore, there should be an option to hold this customer for credit. For that purpose only, a separate function given here, a separate button. Can you see that when you look at that interface or that through that button, there is a tick checkbox to click on to place this customer on credit hold, right? You can place this customer on credit hold if the customer is not paid, right? For that security purpose or for that additional control purpose only, a separate button is given to change the credit limit. All right, clear? දැන් ඔයා මේ බටන් එක ටික් කරොත් එහෙම ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාට මේ කස්ටමර්ට සේල්ස් කරන්න බෑ. In the system will not allow you to make any sales to this customer if you tick that button, right? Okay, that's called a holding on credit, right? So change the credit limit. දැම්ම කරන්න යන්න එපා. This is the first customer we are creating, right? Don't hold the credit. Click OK. Then you can see that credit limit has updated. Then enter the ABN number for this customer. Right. Then for the tax codes, make it value-added tax or VAT for both the cases on sale and on trade both. And then under the customer terms information, see whether there is any difference, because it's a common credit terms we have offered to all customers, but if there are changes, we are supposed to make the changes in a given number of days. Discount days is 7, balance due date is 30 days is 30, all those are same. Discount for early payment is 1%, and for this particular customer we are giving a volume discount of 12%, right? Make that amendment, make that change, right? There's a volume discount of 12% given to this customer. Right. So under payment details, we are not going to specify anything. That those are the information about this customer. Then you can click OK to create this customer. Okay, so you have one customer now. That way, shall we create all the customers quickly? So you know the technique. We can create all the customers the same way. If there are any special cases, I will inform you. I can remember there was one mistake also in one customer. I'll tell you when I come across. So second customer is Queen's Girls College. Now in previous customer also, I forgot to tell you, use customer's tax code. You have to tick in front of the use customer's tax code under selling details here. Right, under selling details, there's an option to select use customer's tax code. It was given in the information as well. I missed it in the previous customer. So you can reopen the customer card information and tick that. In the second customer, the terms information is different, right? End of the month after end of the month. Day of month after end of month. Then discount days is first, and the balance due is end of the month. Discount for early settlement is 5%. That's it. So like that, if there are differences in terms information, you have to change it. Right? So here I'm going back inside the King's High School, right? Using the white zoom arrow, and under the selling details, I'm selecting use customer term tax code, right? Use customer tax code because I missed it in the creation. So like that, you can make any changes after creating the customer card when required. If it's going as a prepaid, which one you are talking about? Yes. In when it comes to prepaid, they have not mentioned any discount for that. But there's a volume discount of 10%. Right? That's only the discount they have given. That's the only discount. Right. After creating all cards, there is a card that comes called cash sales. Up to that, I want you all to create the cards and let me explain what that cash card is, cash sales is. Did you create all the cards up to cash sales? And did you create cash sales as well? Did you create the cash sales as well? Completed. Okay, all correct. Okay. Then, did you set the credit limit as $1? Now there's a small, let me explain by creating it. So I'm creating a cash sale. I'm creating a card called cash sales, and that doesn't have any address or phone number or anything, right? And under the selling details, the layout is items, and what invoice delivery I'm selecting as already printed and sent because it's a cash sale. And when it comes to credit limit, I'm setting a credit limit as 1. Okay, I'm setting the credit limit as $1 and confirming it. Payment is due. Payment is cash on delivery because it's cash, right? Cash sale means cash on delivery, right? Then it's cash. Now I created this cash card, but you should understand why you are creating a card called cash sale, right? We were creating the customer cards, and also we agreed that when there is a credit sale only, we have to record that sale on the particular name. Right? There should be a name of a customer when it's a credit sale. But when it's a cash sale, that should be directly going to the cash account, cash book. Right? That is the accounting treatment. But here we are creating a card called cash sales and setting a credit limit as 1. What is the meaning? Right? When you are making sales in a business, there comes a situation where you have to analyze the sales. Right? You have to identify the sales, how much of sales happen to credit customers, and how much of sales happen on cash. Right? In that analysis, if you don't have cash sales pertaining into one card called cash sales, then you can't find how much of sales happen on cash, right? And how much of sales happen on credit, right? In that analysis, you can't tally your sales. Do you understand? Therefore, whatever the sales happening on cash also should go through a card, right? But when a sale is going through a card, system identifies that as a credit sale. That is the problem, right? Whenever there's a card appearing, system thinks that is how it's programmed, right? System thinks it's a credit sale. Then, in order to avoid that, we have given that option as cash on delivery. Then whatever the sale happening through this card should be paid immediately, right? Then that problem is overcome. And why we are selecting the credit term as, or the credit limit as 1? Why couldn't we keep it 0? Why couldn't we leave it blank? That is another problem, right? So if you leave it blank, the system thinks there is no credit limit for this cash sale, right? 0 and no is taken as equal here. All right. It's very difficult to say 0 and no. You have no money and you have 0 money. What is the difference? It's the same, right? Let's say you have 0 money. Let's say you have no money. The same thing, right? So when it comes to money, it's here, right? It's 0 and no means the same thing. Therefore, if you keep it 0, system thinks there is no credit limit given for this card, and even without paying today, you are allowed to record as credit sales. That is the problem, right? in a cash sale, just imagine a cash sale is going to happen. Then the exact amount you have to pay. I mean, you have to receive from the customer. So under the paid today amount, you have to include that exact amount. Without that, you can't proceed that payment. Then the system will recognize that as a credit sale, right? So to the cash card, you can't record a credit sale. That's why you need the credit limit. When there's a credit limit as one, whatever the sale going to happen on credit, the system will give you an alarm, right? You are going to exceed the credit limit. Why? Anything beyond one is going to exceed the credit limit. The one at the end, rupiah dekaka sale එකක් කරත් system is recognizing you are going to exceed the credit limit, right? Then we should be wondering how is the credit limit? I mean, how are we going to make a credit limit because of cash there, right? To get that surprise, only we are entering that credit limit as one. Understood? Understood why we are entering that one, right? To get that pop-up message in a mistake. Okay. Therefore, in an examination or in any other company creation, in customer cards creation, whether it is mentioned or not, you are required to create a customer card called cash sales. Clear? Sometimes it may not be given as information, but you should know cash sales can happen in any business, right? Remember that, write down that. At the exam, do that. Okay. You should create a cash sale. Okay. Under the in the marks allocation in the papers, marks allocation for the marks allocation for customer cards, if the student has created the cash sale, even if it's not there in the paper, given, there's a mark given. There's a mark allocation. Okay. Therefore, ensure that you create the cash sale customer, and the credit limit is 1. Credit limit එක 1 set කරලා නැත්නම් there's a high chance of making mistakes. Mistaken, you will be recording credit sales on the cash card. That is the problem. To avoid that only, we are entering that 1. ඔයාට sure නම් ඔයාගේ sales ඔක්කොම වෙන්නේ $5 වලට වඩා උඩ කියලා. ඕක 5 උනත් කමක් නැහැ. 1 වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. But usually any sale happening above $1 should be indicated. That's why we are entering the smallest amount. That is 1. Okay. Right. So you can create that cash card with 1 and cash on delivery as the payment term. Okay. Right. So we have created the customer cards. Now let me close the cards creation. Okay. Right. Now I'm opening my transactions. I have some transactions, sales transactions given. The revenue cycle transaction. I have uploaded twice this revenue cycle theory. Revenue cycle transactions. Right. There's a PDF called revenue cycle transactions. Right. Look at the sales and cash collection transaction number 1. 7. Now, this is the first sales revenue, right? We are going to earn. 7 group cricket lessons were held on 18 June 2023. 7 group lessons. There are 7 groups who came to our company to learn cricket lessons, right? The group lesson item number is given, was set up to be charged at the rate of 250 per person per hour. The minimum number to form a group is 3 and the maximum is 5 people per group. So when you are having a group cricket lesson, you have to have at least 3, maximum 5 members in a group. So like that, 7 groups came for a lesson, right? The price is also given. I think this price information are additional information because these are sales transactions, right? Selling prices are anyway embedded in the system. When we were creating these items, group lesson is an item we have, right? Group lesson is an item we already have. These prices we have already entered in the system. The sales prices we enter, not the buying prices. Right? And that is an additional information. Then a volume discount of 12% is applied to this arrangement. For this customer, we have given a discount of 12%. Then the duration of the lesson is 1 hour. The lesson series will continue for 4 weeks. It's a future transaction. I mean, for 4 weeks this will happen. But we are supposed to record today's transaction, today's revenue. For the future, we are not going to recognize revenue, right? That is the accounting concept. What is that concept? Not recording the future revenues concept. Yeah. The prudence concept. The prudence concept. Not recognizing future revenue, but recognizing future costs. Arakshana vichakshana bhave sankalpe. Prudence, no? Prudence concept. That accounting. You are in applied accounting, no? Degree. Right. නේද විචක්ෂණ භාවය සංකල්පය කියන්නේ ඒක නේද prudence concept. Accrual කියන්නේ ළමයි you have recognized that particular period's revenue and expenses despite the payment, despite the cash basis. You have to recognize on the revenue basis. That is accrual. Relevant revenue should be matched with the relevant expenditure. That is the accrual. Right? Despite the cash transaction. But this is prudence. Future revenue we don't recognize. There will be this will be conducted for future 4 weeks, but we don't consider that. We are considering the transaction just happened. Okay. Then you are required to record sales invoice number 1, first invoice, for 7,700 rupees. Value should be 7,700. Within brackets, how this 7,700 came? 250 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 7 into 88% to the King's High School for 7 1 hour 5 people per group lessons. Is that calculation clear? What is the meaning of 250? That is the price per member in the group. What is 5? 5 members in the group. What is 7? There were 7 groups. Past දෙනා ගාන ඉන්න group 7ක් තියෙනවා. Connected 250ක් ගෙවන්න. Then what is this 88%? After deducting a discount of 12%. Right? So their price is deducted by 12%, then 88% only you have to pay. So that is how the 7,700 comes. Right? So transaction is clear to you, no? You are clear with the transaction, right? Now we see how to enter that sales transaction in the system. We will go to the sales command center, enter in sales transactions if you are writing notes. If not, you can remember. Enter in sales transaction. Go to the sales command center, right? Click on enter sales function. Enter sales function. Right? Then you get the same invoicing, billing, quotation creation, purchase ordering, the same format. Right? You get the same format. The only difference is the name is customer. Are we supposed to create, now in this drop down, are we supposed to create a quotation? Are we supposed to create an order? Are we supposed to create an invoice? That is my question. It's an invoice. It's an obvious sale happened, right? It's an obvious sale happened. If the transaction says the particular school has placed an order to do a transaction on a particular future date, then you have to enter that as a purchase order, right? A future order. But this says the training has happened, right? We came for the lessons, the lesson happened, right? Therefore, now we are going to invoice to the company, right? So it's invoice, and then you have to select the customer. Who's the customer? King's High School. King's High School. You enter the name, half of the name, it will appear. And you can see invoice number is anyway 001. It is already set. And the date is June 18th, 2023, right? Enter the date according to your computer systems format. Now, this is the 10th week of your learning. You can't be struggling with the date format, right? Okay. Then there's no customer PO number. And we are going to, this is the items for items layout, right? This is the items layout. Are we supposed to use the item layout or service layout? Item layout. Because this is a service, of course, but this is there in my items list. I have all the information about this item, right? Then ship quantity, ship column is there to enter the quantity. How many units or how many of volume am I going to ship? In this case, what is the number you are supposed to enter here as the volume? You have many numbers in this calculation. What is the number? Is that the 7? Is that 5? Is that 5 into 7? 5 into 7. Longest answer you always hear. Right? There should be a meaning of this number, right? If you enter 5, you don't have any place to reflect the 7 groups. If you enter 7, you don't have a place to reflect the price per, 5 members. Right? Because its price is defined for a member in the group. Therefore, for each person, price is there. Therefore, 7 into 5 is the total volume for the price. So 35. If you can't calculate, you can take the calculator. Right? You have the calculator. Calculator use කරන්න. Then press tab key to go to the item number. What is the item number? You can search by the name, right? We have set the preferences to search the items by their name, not by the code. So you can search group lessons. When I type GR, it automatically appeared group lessons. Did it appear? The item is group lesson. Okay. Then press the tab key. Then you will see the rest of the information. Right? Then you can see price, the discount, volume because this volume discount is anyway there for this customer. Right? This customer is anyway given that discount. It's already calculated. The value is automatically mapped here. Right? Nothing you have to worry about. Okay. Right. That is why we are using items layout for the sales of items we have in the list. Right. So everything is clear. They have not mentioned anything about the payments. No any payment information was given. So we have to believe this is going to be a credit sale. Okay, credit sale. Then you can recap the transaction, Control R, because it's the sales double entry. Invoice is a sale, invoice is the source document for a sale. Then you can see the double entry, including the discounts and all, VAT collection, everything. Then you can now for this particular discount, you don't get a double entry. Did you notice that in the recap transaction? For this discount, you didn't get a double entry. No any entry for that discount. Why? Is it wrong? Is it mistake? You have two types of discounts. One is trade discount and the other is cash discount. Trade discount කියන්නේ අර උත්සව කාලේට වැඩියෙන් price එක දාලා කපලා පෙන්නන්නේ අඩු කරු. That is the trade discount. Right? Cash discount is after invoicing if you are given a discount at the settlement. Right? Trade discounts are not taken to books of accounts. Right? Because the real sale happens at the right price. Right price is after deducting that discount. Discount is just a marketing minutes, we call that. For the marketing trade discount. But after recording the sale, if you are not receiving the full amount because of a discount, that has an impact on your double entry accounting. Right? That has an impact on your accounts. You sold for 100, but you are receiving 88. That means 12% is not received. then in that case, you have to record a discount as discount allowed as an expense. But this case, it's a trade discount, not a volume discount. Not a volume discount, is a trade discount, not a cash discount, right? Therefore, it's not considered in accounting, but it's considered for the calculation. Right? Calculate kala then automatic. That's convenient. Then you can record this invoice, first revenue. First revenue, we recorded. First time we earned some rupees in this company. As the accountant, you have to be very happy. Right. Then look at the next transaction. Second transaction. 8 people who attended the lessons on 18th June, that day, needed to hire cricket bats, invoice number 2, each paying by cash. Now it's a cash sale, right? It's a cash sale happened. 8 people hired cricket bats. Cricket bat hire is an item in our items list. If you can remember, right? Cricket bat hire is an item in our items list. So 8 people took that service. The cash received from the hire cricket bats was banked by the secretary of the of SAP Cricket on Monday, 19th June. On the next day, they have banked. That means until then, that money should be deposited in the undeposited funds, right? So that is so it has 2 transactions actually. We have to carefully record those 2. Now let me open another invoice. I'm in the same invoice field. Now what is the customer name? Cash sales. Cash sales, right? The date is 18th of June. That I don't have to change, right? Then ship. What is the quantity? 8. Then what is the name of the item? Bat hire, right? Bat hire, hire, that, try the name. Bat hire is the right name. Right. When you press the tab key, you can see no any discount informations are given. Discount then it's just 400 rupees, right? Then 400 rupees is the value. And since this is a cash sale, we have to make sure we pay or we receive the money today, right? Then at the bottom, there is an option called paid today, right? In the paid today, you have to enter the full value of the invoice, right? Full value of the invoice. I can let you try without entering that amount, how it appears, but it's going to somehow then transaction will have to be re-entered. If you try to proceed, it will give you a pop-up message. I'm just saying for your information. You try using another company file. Make a copy එකක් දාලා try කරලා බලන්න කියලා කියනවා. Paid today enter කරන්න නැතුව ඔයා next time try කරනවා. If you try to go next, system will give you a pop-up message. What is the pop-up message? You are going to exceed the credit limit. Why? Cash sale has a credit limit of 1. You can't make 400 rupees sale to cash customer, right? That is why we entered that 1 rupee. Then you know, oh my God, I'm going to enter a credit sale to the cash customer, right? Then you will come back and enter this 400. Okay? Next pop-up එක දුන්නාම සමහර ළමයි ඕක okay කරලා click කරනවා. ඒකයි මම එපා කිව්වේ. Otherwise I could have showed you how it appears, right? එහෙම වුණොත් අපිට මට එක එක්කෙනා ගාවට ඇවිල්ලා then I'll have to delete the transaction and again recorrect all that. So it takes a lot of time to correct that, right? Did you understand the concept? Because you know how the system is working now. Okay. Then enter the full amount 400 here. Enter the full amount 400 here. Payment method is check. Okay, we'll keep it as check. All right. Did you see that? Then shall we recap the transaction? Control R. Do you see that paid today amount is deposited in the undeposited funds account, right? Because in default values, we have selected it. Any money you receive will be recorded in the undeposited funds. Okay. All right. Clear? Right. Then we'll record this transaction. Shall we record this transaction? Okay, record it. Right. Now we are supposed to do another adjustment. What is the adjustment? That undeposited fund or that money you received was banked by the secretary in the next day. Right? When you are depositing money from one fund to another fund, what is the function you are using? Transfer money, right? Transfer money function in which command center? Transfer money. Accounts command center. In accounts command center, you have a function called transfer money from one fund to another fund. Transferring happens there. Okay. So shall we cancel this format and go to accounts command center and transfer money? Right? We'll go to transfer money and set the date properly. June 19th, 2023. Right? Then transfer money from account. You have to, what is the account? Yeah, there's a particular name for that. Undeposited funds, right? Transfer money from undeposited funds. Then you will see in undeposited fund, there is an opening balance, current balance of 400 rupees. That is the money you receive from that higher income. Okay. That is the money you receive from that higher income. Then transfer money to bank because you are going to deposit that money in the current account, right? The amount should be 400. Right? In the memo, you can mention money transfer from that higher income just to recognize later. I'm adding a small adjustment to the memo. Money transfer from that higher income. Check whether date is correct. Check whether the amount is 400 and see. Then at the bottom, you can see what will happen after this transfer. Right? Current balance of the undeposited fund is 400. After this deposit, there will not be a balance. There will be a zero. And Sampath Bank will add, Sampath Bank current account will add that 400 to the bank. Okay. All right. Then let me, you can recap the transaction as well. It's the simple double entry, undeposited funds credit and Sampath Bank current account debit. Then you can record that transaction. Okay. Then you can record that transaction and cancel this. Let's go back to the sales command center. Right. Transaction number 2 completed. Transaction number 3. All right. Look at transaction number 3. On 19th June 2023, the company received an order. It's a sales order now. It's not an invoice. Okay. On this particular day, you received an order to purchase 12 cricket shoes, 4 pairs in each. We have 3 types of shoes. Yeah, selling. Right. From all 3 types, 4 units from each category. The order received from Wisdom International School. Items were delivered on the same day. You record the sales order, and on the same day you convert that into an invoice because you are delivering it. And the company made the payment on the next day. So that is the transaction. That is the story. Now we will see how to create that sales order and how to convert that into the invoice and how to receive the payment. The usual process. Right, the standard process to follow. Let me go to the enter sales, or right? I can go to enter sales, or I have another option. What is the option? The same process we followed in purchases. You had the purchase register that has everything related to purchases. So in that you could create anything. Like that, in the sales command center, you have the sales register. Okay. Shall we go to sales register and do this? We can go to the sales register and I have to set the date range, right? So I'm setting the date range from April 1st, 2023 to whatever the recent date. There I can see all the documents I created related to sales. Either quotations, orders, open invoices, returns, and closed invoices. I can see only two invoices. One is open invoice, right? And another one closed invoice, right? And another closed invoice, right? And there, what I am going to create now is an order, right? It's not a purchase order, it's a sales order, right? It's a purchase order from the customer side, but from my side, I am getting a sales order. I go to the orders tab and I create a new order. At the bottom, there's a button called new order. Click on that. Then who's the customer? Wisdom International School, right? What is the date? 19th June. 19th June is the date, and then quantity in the shoes sales. Anyway, when it comes to sales, all the items were sold as each. Can you remember? At the buying side only, we had the problem of buying unit of measure. සමහර ඒවා boxes වලින් ගන්නවා, සමහර ඒවා dozens වලින් ගන්නවා, සමහර ඒවා තව මොනවද? Individually ගන්නවා, right? But at the sales, we are not selling in dozens. We are not selling in boxes, right? Usually. So they are sold as each. Therefore, the per unit price is what matters, and the price we have included also. We have entered the price as well, right? Then we will enter the quantities as 4 from each category, right? Under the ship quantity, I'm entering 4, right? 4. And what are the shoe types I have? Yeah. Adidas. Oh, let me press another tab key and search in the list. What are the shoes? What are the shoes? House at Junior Adidas shoe, right? I found House at Junior Adidas shoe, and immediately in front of that item, I can see the remaining quantity, right? How many units do I have in my hand is there. At the point of creating the purchase order, I know whether I have sufficient inventory in that item in my hand. Do you notice that? Right? Here in front of House at Junior Adidas shoe, I see a number. That number is the remaining quantity in the stocks. Okay. Then I select that item, use that item. House at Junior Adidas shoe. When I press tab key, you can see all other information are filled. The price and the discounts given, everything is automatically filled, right? Then I go to the next. So another 4 items from what is the next shoe type? Luna accelerated Nike shoe. I found Luna accelerated Nike shoe, and I see there are 10 pairs remaining, right? So I can use that item. Prices are added, and another 4 items from the platinum convertible Puma shoe, right? Platinum convertible Puma shoe. From that, I have 20 items. All right. Shoes will number you can type it. But if you can't remember, you have to go to the list and see. In the list, you can find the shoes. Okay. Now, since you are the accountant, I believe you remember the product names. Okay. If this information are correct, you can try to recap. It shouldn't work because it's a purchase order. For POs, double entries don't work. And just see whether the total value is 48,960. If you entered the discounts accurately and everything was there, then the price total should be 48,960. Right. And then you can click on record button. Then you can cancel this format. Then you can go to orders. Under orders, you can see this particular order is appearing on the same day you delivered. Now this is you received the order on the same day you delivered. The meaning is the same day you invoiced. Okay. So select that purchase order. At the bottom, there is a button called change to invoice. Change to invoice, right? Click on that change to invoice button. Then you can see the same information appearing in the invoice format. Now you can recap and see. Okay, now you can recap. All right. If the double entry is okay, you can click on the record button because you don't have to even change the date, right? It's the same date. The moment you receive the PO, you deliver the goods. That is how we bill, right? There's nothing to change. Just create the invoice. Record the invoice. Your sale is predated. Okay, I know that. Click OK. Right. Now, let me cancel this format and go to the open invoices. Under open invoices, I can see this invoice. All right. Under open invoices, I can see this invoice. So sale happened, but I have not still received the money. In the transaction, it says the Wisdom International School made the payment on 20th June, right? For this invoice, they have made the payment on 20th June. So what I can do is I can select the particular open invoice. And again, at the bottom, there is a button called what? Receive payment. Right? When you understand the mechanism of the software, you can automatically see the button, right? It's there. It's the same procedure opposite, working in the opposite direction. So it's very convenient once you get used to the system. Click on receive payment. Click on receive payment. They have not mentioned the payment has been deposited directly to the bank or something. They have just said they made the payment. So we believe they have paid to the company. You have to believe, right? They made the payment. Meaning they have made the payment to the company, right? Maybe in a check. Using a check, usually they bill it. Usually they bring the check to the company. Then what we do, group it with undeposited funds. We will select it, right? If the transaction specifically says this money has been directly deposited to the bank, right? If the transaction specifically says this money has been directly deposited to the bank by the customer, then you have to select the deposit to account and the Sampath Bank current. But this is again undeposited funds. Therefore, select the group with undeposited funds and then set the date properly. The date is June 20th, 2023. Right. Once you correct the date, you can see a cash discount is applied, right? Once the cash discount is applied, you have to come and click on the amount applied field. Amount applied field. Then it will correct itself, right? It will correct the number itself to the total due. දැන් මෙතන ඉස්සරහට මෙතන ටයිල ක්ලික් කරන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යෙන්. එතකොට තමයි මෙයා නම්බර් එක correct කරගන්නේ. Otherwise it was 48,960. Right? But once you click here, it corrects it as 47,980 after the discount. Did that happen? Then automatically උනේ නැත්තම් then you have to come and manually type the right number. It should automatically happen usually. It doesn't happen if you have clicked somewhere else, unnecessary place, before coming directly clicking on that. Right? All right. If that happens, then again you have to go back and click on the amount received. Amount received. Then again that adjusts itself. එක තැනක change කරලා අනිත් තැනට ගිහලා click කරාම automatically ඒක adjust කරගන්න. It should happen. Okay. After correcting that place, when you press the tab key, then you can see at the bottom out of balance becomes 0. Yes. Then if both sides are right? If both sides are telling, you can click on the record button, right? Record it. Print we will the check we will print later. Print later. Okay. Then look at the last transaction. Okay. Queen's girl. Now you should be comfortable with this, right? You are comfortable in the process. We'll quickly enter that transaction. There's a purchase order, 45 handles and 60 blades, 50 items from each on 20th June, and items were delivered on 21st. Right, and the payment was received on the same day. The order date was not given, so we will given right. It's 20th, right? It's 20th. Okay, so we'll create the order quickly. New order. Queen's Girls College. Date is 20th June. Quantities are 15 from each. 15 from each. 15. 45 handles. 3 types of handles. RP. I'm selecting RP quad handles as the first item. Another 15. RP matibane is RP rubber handles. RP rubber handles. Another 15 RP wood handles. Right. So I have all 3 types of handles: RP cord handles, RP rubber handles, and RP wood handles. All from each, I have 15 items. Right. I have got the order for. Then another 15 sets of handles. Not the handles, sorry, blades. Right. Another 15 of what types of blades are there? Aluminium metal blade. Aluminium metal blade. Another 15 from the blades. Reinforced polymer blade. Reinforced polymer blade. Another 15 from white willow blade. And another 15 from willow wood blade. All right, as the accountant, you should know what are the items you have in your business. It's RP cord handle, RP rubber handle, RP wood handle, aluminium metal blade, reinforced polymer blade, white willow blade, and willow wood blade. Those are the items, 15 from each. Right. So the purchase order should be created on 20th of June. Then I created it and I'm recording it. Right. So let me click on the record button. Okay. So it says it's going to exceed the credit limit, and I'm okay with that. I will Do you want to record this order? Yes. Right. Then let me cancel that format. And under the orders, I have this Queen's Girls College order. Then I am going to convert this into an invoice. That means goods were dispatched on the immediate next day, that is the 21st of June. Right. So I click on change to invoice, and then I change the date as 21st. Right, 21st, and just a matter of recording it. You can recap it. You can recap the transaction and see how these items are recorded, because these are coming from repair items. These are repair items. Then you can click on the record button. It's predated. Click if you do not wish to record it. Right? I'm clicking OK. I know that it's going to exceed the credit limit. You are going to record it. Yes. So I invoiced that on 21st of the June. Right. Let me cancel that format as well. Now under orders, I don't have any. Then under open invoices, I have that invoice for the for the Queen's Girls College. And the payment was received on the same day, that is 21st. Then I select that particular invoice and click on receive payment. Right. Receive payment. Again, they have not mentioned about any bank deposit. They have mentioned received payment. So that should be undeposited funds. And date is 21st of June. And then you can see amount applied is 89,775 after deducting a discount. And the same exact amount is there under amount received. Then out of balance amount is 0. And then you can click on the record button. You can recap and see. Right. So it will show you the entries for the discount, entries for the settlement, and also entries for the grand total amount. Right. So you can click on the record button. You can print the check later. So you should have only one pending invoice to the King's High School. All other invoices you have settled. I mean, the customers have settled. You have received money. Section number 3. All right. Now you are having sales. You have made sales, so you are company is good. You are making revenue. You have already made the purchases. You have now made the sales. Next step is calculating the profit and loss. Right? Generating profit and loss statements and the other reports. Next week, before the quiz starting or even after the quiz, we will discuss a few. We'll try to generate a few reports. Because now you have enough information to record. Prepare reports. Right? So next week we will generate some reports and see whether our business is profitable or not. Okay, so you can store your own company files, and that's it for the day. Any doubts you want to clear out? Any doubts you have from this topic? I want you to practice this, right? These are just a few transactions. You can just practice them. It's okay to make mistakes, but try. Practice more and more. That's it.